Hello and welcome into the Starters Podcast. I am Dave, and that's Simon and George. How's it going, boys?
Going on, Dave?
I like George and Simon better, but hey.
George and Simon? All right.
Yeah, I like that better.
All right.
Whatever.
Okay. Well, it's whoever pays the most gets their name in the lead, So for next week, just a hint.
All right, got it.
Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, X, and TikTok. And, of course, subscribe to us on YouTube at the Starters 690. And, of course, listen live on TSN 690 Saturdays and Sundays from 10 to noon, a new time on TSN 690 Saturdays and Sundays, where Simon and Joey Alfieri run wild, basically. This podcast sponsored by Club CDL, the best sports club in all of Montreal. Tennis, pickleball, squash, fitness, they have it all. Check them out at clubcdl.com. They have an amazing promotion right now, 25% off, but that only lasts for another week until September 30th. As soon as October 1st hits, you lose that 25% off. So be sure to check them out, clubcdl.com. All right, boys, you guys ready to go?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get into it. All right, so question number one brought to you by Billy K's Burgers. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I went there today. I was
yes, sir.
hungry.
Sir.
And you can't go wrong. I got the cheeseburger. I got the poutine. I got it decked out. I absolutely a hit for me. I know, George, you had it last week. You ordered some.
I had it post recording of the show.
That's a
veteran. And I was very happy. I went upstairs and there were 7 burgers. I guess there was some sort of promotion, and there was 7 burgers upstairs. So yeah, I didn't eat 7. I had 1, but I mean there was 7 upstairs.
I won't judge you if you ate all 7.
I have a 19-year-old. It's a scary place. All right.
Gotcha. All right. So Billy K's Burger, check them out at Billy K's Burgers on Instagram. They're phenomenal. Their food is awesome. And
burger was excellent.
There you go. Can't go wrong. All right, guys. So we're heading into week 4, and we've had some interesting NFL storylines. I just want to know, who is your MVP heading into week 4 so far?
I want to give a little bit of love to Sam Darnold. I gave him love at the beginning of the year. I didn't think that team was going to fall off the cliff there. I thought we were going to see a little bit of Geno Smith when he got to Seattle, and everybody thought that the Broncos won that trade. And I think the Seahawks have been a playoff team since that trade. So that'll segue into Sam Darnold at 3, MVP, Geno Smith at 2. And hard-pressed to find anybody playing a higher level than Josh Allen. I think he read that article maybe on NFL.com or wherever the hell it was, where they surveyed 100 NFL players. And he came out with 11%, which was the highest, as the most overrated player in football. So I think he, like Michael Jordan, took that personally, and now he's going after the National Football League. They got that young kid Coleman at wide receiver. They lost Stephon Diggs. I thought the Stephon Diggs was addition by subtraction, 1,000%. Clear him out of that locker room. Let Josh Allen be the man in that locker room. And I think it's worked out well. So 3-0, tons of yards. I think he's leading the NFL in touchdown passes as well. So I'll go with Josh Allen.
All right. George?
I don't think there's any doubt. I'm going to have to echo the same sentiments here. Josh Allen is the NFL MVP through 3 weeks. The Buffalo Bills are obliterating teams. They look absolutely fantastic. Look, I don't think, is there a second? Probably if I had a gun to my head, I would definitely not go with Sam Darnold. I would go with, the defending, reigning 2-time, 2 in a row Super Bowl champion in Patrick Mahomes. I don't think
he's even thrown for 200 yards.
Listen, the
games. Who's Sam?
Yes, statistically, yes, but the games.
He beat the Texans, a darling pick of yours at the beginning of the year. He picked the San Francisco 49ers, the entire National Football League's darling pick for the NFC. And then he did what you're supposed to do to bad teams, George, is blow out a shitty team, which he did in the Giants.
I'll give you. I'm not saying Sam Darnold's playing bad. I cannot in any way vote him as my MVP when I got a guy that's beating good teams right now, and they're 3-0.
Good teams, George.
Well, the Bengals are a good team. They're just not playing well. I mean, that's the difference.
I'm saying Sam Darnold beat
two good football teams. I'm not saying Sam Darnold isn't good right now. I'm saying I like Patrick Mahomes better than him right now in terms of an MVP race. I mean, he's beaten better quality teams. He's done it without a running back last game. I'm gonna go with Patrick Mahomes at 2. That's my 2. You're not changing my mind on that.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give some love to Justin Fields, even though the statistics aren't there. Justin Fields has led the Pittsburgh Steelers to a unlikely 3-0. So I just like that. I'm Sam Darnold, not a fan. Not gonna go with.
It's not about being a fan. It's about one guy throwing for 217 yards.
Dak Prescott's leading every statistical category at quarterback.
Yes, Dak Prescott's leading every statistical category because his team is just like 20 points.
He's not my MVP either. So I mean,
all right.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. I mean, Josh Allen, though.
I don't think he's thrown for 225. I'm just looking at the numbers here. I don't think he's thrown for 225 yet.
I'm all about the W's.
Well, the other guys got 3 as well. So that's
all about the W's. That's what I'm about. Give me the W's.
Josh Allen won't add one this week. Speaking of the Ravens on Sunday night, that should be
a big, bold statement. Bold statement.
Tough.
Be interesting. All right, we're going to stick with football, but question number 2 brought to you by Cunningham's Pub. Cunningham's Pub, of course, best wings in all of Montreal. Absolutely phenomenal wings there, and they have a promotion going on for the Pabst Blue Ribbon pitchers. So go out.
151 yards against the Bengals, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and was bailed out by the low football IQ on your defensive backs.
I will not vote for.
He
statistics.
wasn't even good in that game, George.
I will not vote for statistics.
Okay. Okay.
Simon,
it come down to that though in MVP voting.
Yes, it usually does.
160 points and everybody gets 120. We might have to be slanted towards the.
It usually does, but you asked me through week 3, and I just didn't want to agree with you, so I'm gonna go with my 2 and 3.
Wait, I'm going to week 1 now. I'm trying to find a week 1. Let's see what he did in week 1.
Simon, I love the enthusiasm, but you interrupted me while I was talking about chicken wings.
291, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Okay. Go ahead.
All right. Check them out, Cunningham's Pub on Instagram. They have a great promotion for their Pabst Blue Ribbon.
See, Pat Mahomes might be number 2 in this vote, but Cunningham's is number 1.
Yes.
Hey, there you go. We can all agree. We can all agree on that one. All right, guys. I don't know if you've heard of the Matthew Sluka story out of UNLV. Started the season 3-0, and then he announced on social media that he was redshirting and will not play any more games any longer for UNLV, basically based off of a story where he was promised $100,000, and there's a disagreement between whether or not that is true and who made the offer. So I just want to know, guys, what implication does the Sluka UNLV story have?
Massive. This is going to change the landscape of college football the way the initial NIL deals have already done so. Because now you have a player who's played 3 games. UNLV, it's the first time in their history that they're ranked in any coaches poll, any poll of any kind. They're ranked 23rd right now in the coaches poll. And you have their starting quarterback who is a transfer, who says he was promised $100,000 by a coach. There's no $100,000. And he says, you know what? I'm going to make money. I'm not an NFL quarterback. I think he realizes that. This is my only chance to make money. I'm not going to play for free. I'm taking my talents elsewhere. I mean, it brings up a lot of problems here for the NCAA. What happens if Auburn comes down the line to one of these teams that's ranked ahead of them or any other team and says to a player, hey, I'll give you, I don't know, $200,000 if you come next year, or $500,000 or $1 million. And he decides, well, okay, I'm just going to quit 3 games in and that's it. And they don't have a starting quarterback for the rest of the season. This is just chaos. And they do have pay-to-play rules that are in place, which prevents you from poaching players. But how can you even prove that? How are you going to be able to prove that a player was poached from another team? Right now, it's the wild, wild west. Ohio State has spent millions in the transfer portal this year. This story is just, I think, the tip of the iceberg, and it's going to be one of those things that's going to lead to major changes, because right now there are very few rules and the players are running the NCAA, where before the NCAA was running the players. There's got to be some, middle ground here, because this is huge.
Listen, I don't know. He was promised $100,000. He didn't get it. There should be some type of paperwork, right? If somebody, a text message, an email, something from one coach to another, to a player, to his dad. I don't know if the kid's got an agent or not or whatever, but I don't think this should be very difficult to figure out. The fact that he's going to sit out and transfer and not get his $100,000 kind of makes me believe that there was never more than maybe hearsay or word of mouth or whatever. And unfortunately for him, welcome to pro sports, because it's not amateur sports anymore. There's millions of dollars being passed around, or making more money in college than they can ever make in the Canadian Football League. So this is pro sports. So if he got jobbed, he got duped. Maybe these kids got to start getting representation even earlier than what they thought, the proper time to get a legal counsel or an agent. So I don't know. We'll see how the developing story goes. I'm sure there'll be a rebuttal from the football program. And if the football program doesn't have a rebuttal, or they just let him walk, it's probably because they didn't have him pegged in as any plans perhaps going forward. That's it.
All right. We'll switch gears now to the Habs. Question number 3 brought to you by EA Fitness. Check them out on Instagram at eafitness.inc. They are located at 4221 Boulevard Samson in Laval. And they have a dedicated team of trainers. They train you on a personal level. They're really good. They have some workshops as well, I was seeing, and they're hiring a bunch of trainers. So if you're a personal trainer, or if you know a personal trainer and you want to get them hired, it looks like they're really trying to fill out their staff there. And Simon, how's your?
They just. I was there yesterday. They just expanded, so they're about 4,000, maybe even 5,000 square feet. They took the commercial space next to them, so they're in full expansion, looking nice. So good luck to them. I thoroughly enjoyed the workout yesterday. It was nice. It was very well lit. A lot of natural sunlight and stuff like that. Some of that new turf in there, new equipment. So good on them. Good on our lives and the crew there. Some growth, and you like to see that with the local businesses.
Exactly. All right. So check them out at eafitness.inc. All right, guys, let's talk some Habs preseason in full swing. And one person who's been turning heads, Lane Huston. And look, I mean, this is a bit of a fun question. I mean, but it could be a serious question as well. Lane Huston, if he makes the Canadians, of course, nothing is set in stone. But if he does, and the way you see him playing and the way you envision his season going, can Lane Huston not only be a candidate for the Calder as Rookie of the Year, but can he win the Calder?
Look, can he win? Yes. He can win. Will he win? No. Will he get a nomination? I don't think so. The one place that I don't think he'll get enough minutes at 5-on-5 to pad those stats. And I think if he just goes and makes a living on the power play, which is ideal for the Canadians because the power play has been brutal for about half a decade now, I still don't think he's blessed with a whole bunch of natural goal scorers just yet. Cole Caulfield's going to get there. Slafkovsky's going to get there. We'll see what we get from Doc and Patrick Laine. So, again, even if he goes there and the power play that was atrocious becomes a top 8, top 10 power play, I just don't think he can get the point totals that if Macklin Celebrini or one of the guys from last year's draft as well steps in and starts playing, like with the kid that went from Philadelphia to Anaheim. And Mitch Goff as well in Philadelphia, that, he's a year older and now he's stepping into the NHL. He was drafted 2 years ago. So I think those guys are just going to get a chance to pad their stats a little bit more. And like you said, Lane Hudson's not a staple. And if he makes the club, which will be interesting to see if he does, I don't think he's penciled in as one of these 6 every single night. He's got to go out there and showcase himself. And I think that takes a little bit of time before you're penciled in as a regular. So I don't think he needs all those things to happen. And I think we're asking for a lot from, is he still a teenager? And he's got to bring a power play that's been dead for a while now. So I'm going to say, can he win? Yes. Will he win? No. Will he get nominated? I don't think so.
Fair enough. George?
Interesting stuff, because last week, one of the questions was who would make the Montreal Canadiens as a rookie? And my pick was Lane Huston. And all he did is go out there and he shined in that first game, especially on the power play. And one of the reasons I said was the power play. But I'm getting somewhere with this here. Please bear with me. My point was going to be, after watching the games, I think Logan Mailloux is a more complete defenseman that's ready to play in the NHL. As crazy as that sounds. I don't know. I think Lane Hudson, if for his own development, might be best he goes to Laval and really be that force on the power play in Laval as being a specialist, because I don't know if he's going to be able to be that guy that can play 15 minutes in the NHL. So I'm going to say no, he can't win the Calder, because I think the Canadians are going to come to a realization that he's dynamic, but he needs ice time, and he needs some time to grow physically, more in the term of gaining some weight. I think Lane Hudson is not going to win the Calder this year. Might win it next year, though.
Yeah, there's a better chance. And not only that, it's just that it's funny because just watching the interactions on social media, on Twitter, and I find a lot of people are hypocrites. Like the same people on Twitter that blasted the organization, the older guard, like maybe myself, like you rushed Latendresse, you rushed Kotkaniemi, you didn't let him develop, and now there's a chance of maybe letting this guy develop, and they're like, no, he's got to play, he's got to get in there, top six, he's got to play with Savard, he's got to play 13, 14, 16 minutes a game. They're the same people that were complaining that the previous regime crushed Jesperi Kotkaniemi because they rushed him to the pros.
Yeah, I think, Simon, he's exciting to watch, and that always, when you get a player that's exciting to watch, people want to see him, and the development storyline goes out the window, right? Because you're like, I want to see him play, and that's really what it comes down to.
It doesn't matter. It's about the sound bites and the highlights. But what's the balance here? If you can guarantee me 12, 13 minutes of ice time in the NHL, I'm all for that. If it's below that and it's just
I thought he played a great game. I think he's ready in terms of his offensive game. I think his defensive game, and on a Canadians team that's not deep with defensive defensemen, I don't think it's going to work. I think he needs a year. Logan Mailloux looks like a man out there. He doesn't have that refined offensive game, but he can still make plays, and I think he's just physically ready, as opposed, and I wouldn't even mind he goes back to Laval, and
no, I like to see Mailloux in, and I like to see Ryan Backer and Lane Hudson play 25 minutes a night.
Yeah, me too. I think that's the ideal situation, in my opinion.
I think if Lane Hudson does make the team, he'll play alongside Savard, probably on that.
It might happen. Like I said,
minutes,
yeah.
But it's going to be interesting. The NHL is filled with cautionary tales of rushing, especially defensemen, right? Like Luke Shen, for example, was one in Toronto. Like he was a beast his first 2-3 years in the NHL, and then he took a nosedive. Same thing with Tyler Myers. There's so many stories of young defensemen being rushed into the NHL and it just not working out. So we'll have to see, I guess. All right, so let's move on. We'll stick with the Habs. This one brought to you by Fresh MTL. What smoothie did you get today, Simon? Morning boost again?
Dave.
The booster.
I'm like Norm when he walks into Cheers and he has
just know, eh?
It's usually I have it on Mondays. Usually I have it on Mondays. I get to the gym at around 8:30, and it's usually ready by 10:30. I'm banging it out, Dave. Absolutely. I think it's the morning booster. It's got like a purple look to it.
Nice.
Berries of some type, yes.
At Fresh MTL on Instagram, they're a bistro, they're grab and go. They have prep meal service and everything. So check them out at Fresh MTL. If you go on their website, freshmtl.ca, you can actually spin a wheel and win some discounts as well. All right, guys. So basically, I want to know, very easy, very simple, what you're looking forward to most this upcoming season. What is the Habs storyline to watch going into this season?
Well, I think obviously the progression of the Montreal Canadiens as an entire team is the storyline to watch. But I think everybody has their eyes tuned in on what is Patrik Laine going to be, because there's a lot of money wrapped up there, right? You've got a ton of money wrapped up in this guy. His contract's due in 2 years. Canadians haven't had a offensive force in the lineup in 20 plus years. Does he become that guy? Because if he does, I can tell you he will be the storyline every single night. This guy puts in 50 goals, and the city's his. They're starving. The Montreal Canadiens fan base is starving for a guy to score 50 goals, have 100 points, and be the guy. Now, is Patrik Laine that guy? Is that too much to put on his shoulders? He hasn't been that guy in a very long time. I don't know if he's going to be that guy, but I guarantee you everybody's eyeballs just in that one exhibition game that he played. Everybody was, that's all they talked about. I mean, that he got 4 shots and that he looked good. And so I think Patrick Laine is story 1 and probably 1A.
Interesting.
Yeah, I like that one for sure. Very quietly, it's not a lot of intrigue in it. Evans, Armia, Dvorak, UFAs at the end of the year. If the season doesn't go the way you want it to go, maybe you get a second, maybe you get a second, maybe you get a second, whatever. So a couple of the UFAs at some point will have to be moved. I think just seeing a little bit of Owen Beck, seeing a little bit of Tuck, seeing a little bit of Kapanen, seeing some of these young players play. So they'll try to maybe slide those guys into the lineup next year. But like last year at this time, if you asked me this question, Dave, and you probably did, I wanted to see individual growth. I knew the team was a non-playoff team. I think we all felt that. And we got individual growth. Maybe Cole Caulfield not at the number we would have, maybe we're everybody looking for north of 30. But I think you saw it from Suzuki. You definitely saw it from Slavkovsky as of December 1st and on. Mike Matheson played really well. I like Kaden Gooley's game. So I like what you saw from Alex Newhook. So you saw a whole bunch of checking the box. You didn't get it from Josh Anderson. You got it from Armia from the time he came back from Laval. So I think you checked off a lot of boxes about individual growth. But as a team, I think they only got maybe 1 or 2 points or the same number of points that they got the prior year. And I think we're done there. I think now, for me, a collective push up the standings. How far up the standings, we'll see. But I can't, like, a 37-goal season, Slavkovsky 28, Nick Suzuki at 79, and finish, 13th won't resonate with me. I would rather finish with another top 3 pick. If I can sign up for a top 3 pick now in a miserable year, I'll take it. But there's got to be a push north, close to a playoff spot. I think so. I think meaningful hockey in February is something that I'm looking forward to. I always talk about it with my Bears. I don't need the playoffs. I don't need a Super Bowl. I need meaningful games in December. So with this hockey team, can't be tapping out in December. The math cannot be completely skewed against you in January and February. I want meaningful hockey end of February, early March, 4, 5, 6 points out of a playoff spot. And you fall short, I'm totally willing to live with that. I'm totally willing to live with a 17th pick that might not ever play for the Canadians, or they may play for the Canadians in 2-3 years from now. But right now, you need a collective from this team. They need to finish with many more points than the 76 points they finished last year.
All right, fair enough. And we'll look into those storylines as we go along this season on this podcast. All right, we'll switch to question number 5, brought to you by Resto Vivaldi. Check them out at Resto Vivaldi. I promise you won't regret it. Steve just released his gnocchi gorgonzola recipe, which is by far, for me, the greatest dish of any restaurant ever. It's my go-to dish at Vivaldi.
I like the one where he was explaining the fish and chips.
Yes, he's very very great. You'll learn a lot about running a restaurant and how restaurants work by following him. So go check him out at Resto Vivaldi on Instagram, and check them out in the West Island. They are a bring your own wine restaurant. All right, guys, I was thinking about this the other day. In the 90s, you had Michael Jordan, right? Michael Jordan was the guy. Everybody on the planet probably knew who Michael Jordan was. Then Tiger Woods came along, and probably everybody on the planet knew who Tiger Woods was. Then, you could talk about LeBron after that, and you could also talk about, Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo. Those are guys who were the top pro athletes in any sport of their generation. Just like, my mom knew who they were, so they were important. You know what I mean? And so I want to know, and then I was thinking about who's that today, right now? LeBron kind of at the end, Messi also. I want to know right now, if you were to say, who is the top pro athlete today going forward, worldwide? Okay.
So Lionel Messi is 1 year removed from a Copa America championship and 2 years removed from a World Cup, and is going to win the President's Trophy, whatever it's the Community Shield in MLS soccer. So he might still be there, Dave. I know it's
That's fair.
The MLS is an inferior league compared to some of the big leagues in Europe. but the man has not dropped off the face of the earth like you're claiming he has. Simone Biles, pretty successful. I saw her just bring home a whole bunch of gold medals. That French dude, Brad Marchand, I forget his first name, the French guy in the pool, he looked pretty fast. I gotta, man, look, dominating his sport right now like nobody else. I don't think there's anybody in tennis. I don't think there's anybody on the men's side or the women's side. We're getting multiple winners. We're getting different winners. We're getting Alcaraz getting bounced out earlier in tournaments. I'm going to go, and he may be sleeping about 30 minutes from my house, probably 45 minutes from your house. His name is Scotty Scheffler, and he'll be teeing off tomorrow at the President's Cup. He had himself a Tiger Woods year. I believe he won 6 times. He got the majors. He got the majors. He got the FedEx Cup, and he won the gold medal by shooting, I think, a 64 on Sunday in Paris. So I'll say that Connor McDavid's had some outstanding seasons. It's hard to say when you don't win the chips. Patrick Mahomes has the chips, doesn't have, the MVP trophies the last couple of years. So I'll just say in the last 9, 10 months, 11 months of sports, I don't know if anybody's won at the rate Scotty Scheffler has.
All right, fair enough. It's a good answer. George?
There can only be one answer here, gentlemen.
Oh, boy.
Shohei Ohtani. And I'll tell you why. He's probably on the list of all the guys we just named, and they're all great athletes. Lionel Messi will probably go down as one of the top 3, 4 soccer players of all time, and you can make an argument he's the best ever. But Shohei Ohtani is the best baseball player ever. I don't think there's an argument here. I mean, he can pitch, he can hit, he can run, he can field, he can do it all. I mean,
technically he can't pitch, but yes.
Yes, technically, thank you. But I mean, he was made in a lab. So I think when you're like, who is the top pro athlete today, the Ohtani bandwagon, I'm on it. And I think there's no one even comparable to him right now because
George, he doesn't have a postseason at bat.
He will have one soon, and
he'll be pitching in the playoffs.
The one thing is, and I think it's the huge.
Is he the National League runaway winner, like the MVP? I don't know this.
Yeah, he's definitely the MVP winner, but he's going to win it.
He's wrong.
He's going to win it. I mean, you could argue Lindor.
Lindor had a great year, but he's not winning it. This is guaranteed.
He's getting every normal league where they actually have one MVP. Would it be him or would it be Aaron Judge? And I saw the numbers laid out in front of me, all the power numbers.
It would be Ohtani.
I think it would
be. The numbers.
And the only reason is the 50-50. Yeah, but the 50-50 is that's the one number. That's the one number that Judge doesn't have and he won't have. So I going back to my point is I think the differentiator between him and Lionel Messi is that it's like unequivocal when you say no one has done what Ohtani is doing. Like nobody. Where Lionel Messi, you've had Cristiano Ronaldo.
Go through history and name somebody who doesn't have any hardware, like a champion. It's hard.
Yeah, I agree. But it's a team sport.
We're not going to pick the guy who.
I mean, it's a team sport, though. We agree that, but it's a team sport, right? I mean, you can't blame him for playing on lousy.
Yeah, I know. I'm not. I think he's an absolute marvel. He's the best thing ever. He's the only reason I really much will tune into regular season baseball. I'll tune into the postseason. I say that honestly. I will. A game here, an inning there for sure.
But you're right, Simon. He has to win in the next. Now there's no excuse of a bad team.
Now there's no excuse. Now he's on good team.
He's with the Dodgers. He has Mookie Betts. I mean, like they're just amazing, that team. Yeah. So he has to put up. You know what I mean? Like there's no.
For real. But the question though, top pro athlete today, in a team sport, it's hard to blame him for not having hardware on those terrible teams. So I'm gonna say Shohei Ohtani.
All right, I love it.
Dave,
all right.
Lamar Jackson.
Yes,
Lamar
for
Jackson,
sure.
Of course.
Lamar Jackson, no doubt.
Shohei Ohtani too. He had that storyline earlier on with his translator or whatever interpreter, and on TMZ.
Wayne Gretzky said it was his wife. I mean,
you're carrying the burden of a $700 million contract. Like the whole world's waiting for you to fail, just ready to like.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
carrying that burden,
Brutal. All right. Well, thank you guys all for tuning in. Be sure to follow us on TikTok, X, Instagram, anywhere you can at the Starters 690. And be sure to tune in to Simon and Joey on Saturday and Sunday, 10 to noon, new time on TSN 690. Thanks, boys.
Ciao, boys.
Ciao.
Have a good one.